obtuse angle. Okay, what is obtuse angle? We're going to learn how to calculate sine of 150 and cos of 150 today. Now, how do I calculate this? We have to understand what sine 30 degree mean. Now, we just did the Kahoot. What sine 30 equal to? 1/2. Excellent. Now, what does that really mean for a right angle triangle? It means that if you draw a right angle triangle with an angle 30 degrees, the ratio of opposite to the hypotenuse is 1:2. So therefore, the right angle triangle with 30 degree could be 1 and 2. But it doesn't have to be 1 and 2. It could be 3 and 6. It just means that the hypotenuse is double the sides of the opposite. That's what that means. Sine 30 is half tells you that the hypotenuse is double the length of the opposite. Alright, that's the fundamental meaning of trigonometry, is the ratio of two sides in a right angle triangle. Now, if you were to use your calculator to calculate sine 50, 150 and cos 150, let's see what we get. So we do sine 150, it gives you an answer, right? But how does it get 0.5? And if you do cos 150, it will give you a negative answer. But let's see why this is the case. Because in a right angle triangle, we can't have obtuse angle. So how do we get obtuse angle in a right angle triangle and use trigonometry to calculate it? So to answer this question, we need to consider a circle with radius 1, and we'll call this circle the unit circle, which you will have to refer a lot in this topic, unit circle. Alright, so we're going to do some investigations first. So we're going to consider this circle of radius 1. We're just looking at this first quadrant of the circle. We're going to draw a right angle triangle and label the side lengths. Okay, let's draw a right angle triangle there. So see the point P? We'll draw a right angle triangle. And in here, this is 30 degrees. 30. Okay? So that's your first step. Now, what's the length of the opposite? What's this length? Alright, just done. Thank you very much. You can watch. Okay, now, actually, let's go through this. What's the length of the hypotenuse? Yep. No. Well, it's a circle. And what's this length? 1. That's 1. So what's this length? 1. Good. What's the length of the opposite? 0.5. Very good. And how about the length of the base or the adjacent? Yep, but a little bit less, isn't it? Let's call it 0.87. Okay, a little bit less than 0.9. Now, using our definition, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So if you do sine 30, that would be 0.5 over 1, which is 0.5. As we expect that the sine 30, if you do opposite over hypotenuse, you get 0.5. Yep. This, okay. Now, how about cos 30? It's adjacent over hypotenuse, isn't it? So you do 0.87 over 1, which is 0.87. Now, if you use your calculator, it do give you 0.87. So if we do cos 30, it give you about 0.87. Okay. Now, let's work out the coordinates of the point Q or P. What's the coordinates of the point P? So we go x value and the y value. What's the x value? 0.87 and the y value is 0.5. 0.5. So we got the coordinate of P, 0.87 and 0.5. Can you see any connection between the point P and the value of sine 30 and cos 30? That must be the same, right? So we see that sine 30 is exactly the y value. The cos 30 is the x value of the point. Now we have some connection between the coordinates, the point, and the trigonometric ratio. So now we could go beyond the right angle triangle. Okay? So now we can actually calculate some values. So this is the formula. Sine theta is y, cos theta is x, tan theta is y over x. So now you will start to make sense how to calculate sine 150. So let's complete the following. We got this table here. So let's calculate the corner of R. What's the corner of R? 1, 0, right? Because it's a unit circle, radius 1, 1, 0. So what's this angle here? That angle will be 0. Do you agree? Because the ray makes the angle 0 with the x-axis. And using the definition, sine 0 is the y. What's the y value? 0. What's cos 0? The x value, 1. And y, tan theta is y over x because it's opposite over adjacent, which is 0 over 1, 0. Let's calculate the next one. S. What's the corner of S? 0, 1. So if you calculate this, this is 0, 1. So that means the angle become 90, right? 90. So you go 90. So what's sine 90? Sine 90 is y, which is 1. Cos 90 is x. X is 0. And then tan 90 is 1 over 0, which is undefined. Yeah, undefined. So now, how do you know it's undefined? Let's use your calculator. If you do tan 90, tan 0 is 0. But if you do tan 90, you get error, okay, which is undefined. Okay, good. All right, let's look at U. U is this point here, minus 1, 0. So which is minus 1, 0. The angle, what would the angle become? 180, right? So you go 180. So sine 180 is the y value. What's the y value? 0. Cos 180 is the x value, minus 1, and tan is y over x. Yeah. So now I could go beyond the right angle triangle because the trigonometric ratios are now defined in terms of the x and y coordinate. So I could go beyond 90 degrees. I could go obtuse angle. In fact, reflex angle are also possible, which we'll discover later in the course. Okay, so let's continue with this. Let's look at Q. Now, what's the corner of Q? 0.5, 0.87. So let's write it here. That's the corner of Q. Now, how do I know 0.85? Because you go 0.5 across, 0.87 up. You can count the grid, okay? Count the grid, you'll see 0.5 and 0.87. Okay, so what's sine 60? This is angle is 60. So sine 60 is y, 0.87. Cos 60 is 0.5, which is x. And how do I get tan? Yes, 0.87 x y over x, which you can do on a calculator, become 1.874. Let's check it, see if it works. So tan 60, you get that. Well, yeah, which is close. Okay. All right, how about t? Right, so the diagram gets a bit cluttered, so let's look at it more carefully. Let's get rid of unnecessary things. Now, can you see the t is actually symmetrical? So if you look at t, it's going to be negative 0.5, 0.87, right? It's a reflection of q, right? It's a reflection of q about the y-axis. So therefore, you can write the corner t, 0.5, 0.87. Now, what would the angle be? Yes? Yes, because that's 60. You know that's 60. Therefore, that's 120. right? So 120, 120. So again, what sine? Again, sine is the y value, cos is x, tan is y over x. So if you do sine 120 using the coordinate, that will be 0.87. But cos 120 will be negative 0.5. And finally, tan 120 will be this over that, which is negative 1.74. Okay? Now, this is a very hard way to calculate this. Is there a shorter method? I'm going to show you the shorter method of calculating these exact values. So we'll go to the next page. Okay, let's do the next bit. All right. Now, how do we calculate sine 150 without grid paper? We use the circle again. Now, remember, what's the definition of sine theta? It is y. Cos theta is x. That's a new definition. Not opposite over hypotenuse. It's y and x. This will allow us to calculate angle of any magnitude. Now, to calculate x, you do sine cos 30. So write cos 30 here. Now, what's cos 30? We know the exact value. Root 3 over 2. Remember we did the Kahoot? Okay, y equal to sine 30. What's sine 30? Half. So you get the corner of this point. Right? So the coordinate is related to the sine and cos of this angle. Now going back to the same angle, what if you want to do sine 150? Look at the 30 again, which has the same coordinate as above, root 3 over 2 and half. And the 150, it's a reflection because they have the same angle. That angle has a special name called the related angle. It's related to this angle. Okay? Now, so therefore, what would the connection between the coordinates? It's a reflection, therefore they must have the same y value. They're both half, but the x value got changed. Negative root 3 over 2. This will allow us to calculate what sine 150 is. Sine 150 is the y value. What's the y value? Half, yes. And the cos 150 is x, which is negative root 3 over 2. But this is exactly same as above, isn't it? Root 3 over 2 and half, except there's a change of sign. So therefore, this is positive sine 30. This is negative cos 30. Right? See the connection. So that will be important. So now we don't have to use the grid. We see the connection that when the angle is obtuse, cos is negative, sine is positive. All right, let's do some practice question. Then you can practice this. All right, let's look at the first one. All right, complete this table. We got half, root 3 over 2, root 3 over 2, 1 on root 2, 1 root 3, 1 on root 3. Notice how I do it. I do half because they're the same. Root 3 over 2, root 3 over 2. These two are the same, both are 1 on root 2, 1 over root 3, and 1. All right, let's do a question. Yep, sure. Okay, let's do the first question. Sine 120. So how do I do sine 120? So you draw this. That's 120 degree. Right? 120. That's your first step. And then what we need to calculate is this red angle called the related angle. So we do 180 minus 120, which is 60. So the sine 120 is same value as sine 60, and it's going to be positive. So I don't put anything here. Now go back to the table. What's sine 60? Root 3 over 2. using the table above. Yeah. All right, try the next one. 135. Draw 135. And then calculate this angle, the acute angle there. So you do 180 minus 135, which is 45. Okay, 45. So you get 45 cos 45. But remember, cos is going to be negative. See, sine is still positive, but cos is going to be negative. Now, what's cos 45? 1 over root 2. So you get negative 1 over root 2. Now, why is it negative? Let's repeat again. Remember, in the 150, the x value is negative. That's why it's negative. See? X. Cos is x. When it's 150, it's going to be negative. Now, sine is still positive because it's the x and y value. Okay, remember, cos is x, sine is y. How about the next two? How about tan? We haven't really discussed tan, but it's the same reason. You do the same thing. Go like this, 150. And you can just tell by looking at it, 30 degrees. So write 30 there, okay? But tan's a bit different. You still have to do the same thing. Tan's going to be negative. Why is it negative? Because tan is y over x. Y is positive, but x is negative. Therefore, you get a negative answer. So what's tan 30? That's it. So if you know your exact value, that will help you. But don't forget your negative. All right, how about the next one? 180. 180 will just be a line there, isn't it? So in this case, remember the circle. What's the corner of that point? The unit circle. It's -1, 0. Now what's sine? Sine is for the y coordinate. What's the y coordinate? 0. And you can check. So sine 180 is the y value 0, as expected. Alright, so there are some practice questions you could try on the next page with answers at the bottom. Have a try doing this method. Try this. Alright, try this now. Have a try. Thank you. No, to continue. Alright, let's go through. Sorry, let's go through. Okay, let's go through this. Yeah, come in. I'll mark the roll. Yeah. Yeah, alright, go. Okay, sorry. Okay, so hopefully the one cos 135 is negative cos 45, which is -1 on root 2. So what we're trying to do here, if I give you the ratio, which is the x value, what's the angle? Must be 135, isn't it? Okay. Now the next question, what if I change the answer? What would the angle again? That's something we're going to learn. So let's look at the first question. State two values of theta if theta is between 0 and 180. Oh, we're going to work out. That's what we're going to do. No, not 45. Okay, so let's look at this one. All right. Now, state two values for which sine theta is half. Because half could be over here. So if I draw this, so half is here. That's the y value. Remember, this is the y value. The half could be here. So therefore, it could be either over here, see, or there. Okay? So there's two angles. So what we do is we find the angle first. So you do shift sine half. What's shift sine half? This is going to be shift sine 30. So let's double check. Yeah. Yeah. Why is it frozen? Alright, it's working now. Shift sign, half. You get 30 degrees, so this is 30. So you write 30 there, 30 here, right? And then you find the angle, theta is 30 degrees, which is this angle. But in the obtuse angle, you have to go 180 minus the 30. So the answer will be 30 and 150. Okay? So does that make sense? That's how we find these two angles. Okay, we'll do another one, which is exactly the same thing. These are obtuse angles. So what you do is this. You're going to go, this is negative, so it has to be in the second quadrant. So you have to figure out this angle. That's your theta. So to work out the obtuse angle, you do shift cos, but do not put the negative, just put the positive. Do not put negative, so it would cos inverse shift cos 0.5, which is equal to 60. So put 60 here. And then to work out theta, you do 180 minus the 60. Which is equal to 120. Okay? Yep. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Yes, that's what you do, which is the same thing. Yeah, same thing. All right, if it's negative, same thing. Negative, it has to be in the second quadrant. You do theta here, and then find out what this angle is. Tan inverse of 1. Do not put negative, which is 45. And then you write theta is equal to 180 minus 45, which is equal to 135. Okay? So this is how it works. Okay, now you should be able to do the whole question. All right, see if you can, the whole exercise. So do this for homework, and that's it. Okay, now I could start recording.